Hi guys, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay, let's get you guys all up to date with the weekly goings on with XRP and HBAR. So we got starting off with XRP, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So this was just basically a analyst, I think it was Crypto Insight UK, and he was just giving you basically an oversight of what could happen with XRP. So like a worst case scenario, a bad scenario, and a good scenario. So I recommend you watch the full video to get the full breakdown. But if we're talking about the ugly was basically Bitcoin and Ethereum outperforming XRP. The bad was XRP going down to as low as around 75 cents. And the good was that this was an accumulation zone right now and it's going to shoot up in value. It didn't give an exact price, but it did say up to like 1,000% gain, something like that, right? So in terms of the bad and the ugly, I will say they were quite similar, because with the ugly, it was saying like Bitcoin and Ethereum outperforming XRP, but the price was still the same. So it wasn't necessarily that the ugly was that XRP was going to drop even lower in price. It was just that XRP wasn't really going to perform while Bitcoin and Ethereum did. Now, again, these are all scenarios. We don't know which one's going to happen. We don't know if any of them are going to happen. It could be completely different. But the thing I'll say is, in terms of like Bitcoin and Ethereum outperforming XRP, that's not necessarily common. Like if we go back to 2017, XRP was the highest performing crypto. Now, some of you might say, well, what about 2021? It didn't even reach a new all-time high. Completely understand that. But let's just bear in mind that there was a lawsuit going on with the SEC. And XRP was pretty much blocked out of the US. There was only one exchange. And look, you've got to understand, you could say, well, there's still one exchange. People are not going to like go out their way to just go to one exchange to get one crypto. And also the fact that there was regulatory uncertainty, the lawsuit was going on. They didn't know if XRP was going to be basically shut off in that sense, because if it was deemed a security, that would have been a very bad situation for XRP. So who's going to only go to this one exchange to go and get the, to get the XRP? And two, who's going to want to invest in XRP right then and there when there's a lawsuit going on? So you really would have had to have had a lot of belief in XRP to have done that. And yes, there might be some who did, but not everybody's going to do that, right? So completely understandable. So we'll see how it goes. I think in this kind of scenario, with how the market's been, like with XRP missing that bull run, it could be that XRP really outperforms in this next bull run, right? Like it could be that because it missed the 2021 bull run, it really flies up in value in the next real bull run. Because, even in, November 2024, when XRP went up to like $3, there was many cryptos that didn't perform at all during that time. So Bitcoin was, flying. XRP was flying, but there was still many cryptos that wasn't really, really gaining value. So you never know, like the next bull run, it could be that XRP like outperforms the whole market. So look, I'm not here to say what is going to happen, because obviously I don't know for sure, but I'm just saying that who knows how this could pan out. Like it could go down the ugly route. It could be that Bitcoin and Ethereum does outperform XRP. Who can say? And that's what I was trying to say in the video. Like I'm saying, look, nobody's got a crystal ball here. So XRP could get outperformed, but at the same time, XRP could outperform. It's just one of those things where you just got to take the gamble. Like if you're in XRP, you either hold on to that faith that it's going to do well, or you just, switch cryptos, I guess, swap cryptos if that's what you really think. And the other thing I'll say is this, is like, look, let's just say Bitcoin and Ethereum outperforms XRP. If XRP still goes up to a decent percent, I'm not going to worry about other cryptos outperforming XRP, because one, I've got other cryptos that I'm invested in anyway, and two, it's not about who performs the best. It's just about getting money, right? Like I'm not here to be like, oh, XRP has to be number one. It has to be the best performer. As long as I can make some life-changing wealth out of XRP, who cares? If Bitcoin outperforms XRP, who cares? As long as I make life-changing wealth, then I'm not worrying about it being the number one performer. I just want to know that I can make some money, and that's it. That's really what it's about for me personally. So I suggest you watch the video in full so you can get like the full idea of this, because it goes into it in a bit more detail. But yeah, that was just giving you like a perspective of where we are in the market and what could come. Okay, next we've got Elon Musk potentially using XRP. So this was more of a speculation thing. So there was a Ripple engineer who had messaged Elon Musk through X/Twitter about using Ripple's RUSD for payments on their platform, on the X platform. Another person on the platform replied and said, hey, why didn't you like mention XRP? And the engineer said, hey, look, if we get Elon Musk's attention, then believe me, XRP is going to be included. Now, this is the thing, right? This was the head of Ripple. He was like a head engineer of Ripple who was saying this. So this wasn't just a random user saying it. It was the head of Ripple in terms of engineering, right? So this isn't just an anybody. So it was a bigger deal than just some nobody saying this, right? And the other thing I said about this is, look, Ripple, we know, have ties to Donald Trump. We've seen a picture of them with Brad Garlinghouse and Steve Alderati. They had a meeting with Donald Trump and they had a dinner. So we know that they've got that connection. They've supported his presidency. They've donated to him. So the fact that Ripple have connections to Donald Trump works with Elon Musk. So it's very possible that Ripple have brought their way into Donald Trump's connections. Do you see what I mean? Donald Trump could have fed them Elon Musk. Like, yeah, I'll get you in contact with him, no problem. I speak to him all the time. So it is very possible that Ripple could be having talks with Elon Musk to use XRP. Very possible. I don't know for sure. I'm making that clear. It is speculation, but that is plausible, obviously. And the other thing is that the XRP ledger would be a good asset to use for the X platform. It would actually make sense. So it's not even like this is a thing where, you've got to convince him. Like, it would make sense to use it. It would actually be beneficial for Elon Musk to use the XRP ledger. So very possible. Not saying it's a guarantee, but very possible. Again, I'd say watch the full video so you can get the full context of it. Okay, next, XRP turning into a stablecoin network. This is a very big one. I'll be honest with you, if there's any video I suggest you watch, this is probably the biggest one for XRP, because this could change XRP as a whole as a token if this happens. So there was an interview with, I forgot his first name, but it was something Farioli, and he did an interview on the Thinking Crypto podcast. And he said basically that he believes that the XRP ledger is turning into a stablecoin network rather than a payments network. And so I was basically discussing this. Now, again, I want you to just watch the full video for this because this is really important. Like, I've gone through the full thing. I don't know if this is definitely what's going to happen, but I'll just tell you this now. If XRP does turn into a stablecoin network, that is dramatically going to change the role of XRP as a token. Like, if we talk about XRP, for example, as a bridge asset, that's gone. That's not going to be the case anymore. XRP would be more of a gas token in that circumstance. So how would that affect XRP? Well, it's definitely going to hinder its price potential because it's no longer being used directly as an asset. It's now being used as a gas token. That's going to have a huge impact on its role, 100%. So I really suggest you watch the video in full because it is a massive thing. And I've told you my reasons as to why I think this is possible and why I think it's not possible, and I've gone through in detail the potential outcome of what that could mean. Very, very big deal, to be honest with you. That one's a really important video, so I definitely suggest you look out for that one. Okay, moving on to Hedera. We've got Virginia DEQ releases a product called Swan on the Hedera hash graph. This is basically a carbon product. It's in regards to, it's just the trust layer basically. It's in regards to putting information, data on the Hedera hash graph, and then you've got an immutable record that the people can rely on in terms of tracking information. So any type of work that's been done, basically, it can all be tracked on the hash graph. It's just immutable data that people can't argue against because a lot of the information that was being put on there, the records weren't being kept properly. And sometimes it was a thing where two different people had two different records. So it was like, well, who's telling the truth? One person saying this, the other person saying that. This is where if it's on the Hedera hash graph, it's on the hash graph, it's immutable. That is the fact. There's no need to argue it. It's not possible because whatever's on the hash graph is what happened. So it's just opening that door to more transparency. And once again, this is Hedera being basically the trust layer of the internet. So definitely a great use case there. We then have Taurus, who has released a product with Hedera. So yeah, they're basically now working with the Hedera hash graph. And Taurus is basically connecting banks with crypto. Long story short, another like kind of like settlement layer, that kind of thing. And they're going to be now basically connecting with Hedera so that the banks can basically do all of their like tokenization, staking and stuff like that with HBAR on the Hedera hash graph. Once again, just adding that adoption, adding that utility to Hedera, and now the banks being able to operate with the hash graph as well. Absolutely great stuff to see. Taurus as well, one of the banks that they that they work with is Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank is an absolutely huge bank if you don't know. So straight away I saw that and I was like, amazing. They've also won a award recently for like the top innovation or something like that. It was like top digital assets solutions or something like that. They won an award for, and that was this year. So Taurus seem to be really making moves in the industry. Very positive thing to see. Obviously watch the video in full so you can get the full breakdown in regards to that. And then finally, we've got Grayscale cancelling their HBAR ETF. So yeah, Grayscale have decided to cancel their proposed ETF for HBAR. And there was a bit of talk about this, speculation in regards to it. I mean, a lot of people, and you know, this is obviously Hedera supporters, were kind of like, you know, who cares and good riddance and whatnot. Look, I'll just be completely honest with you. Obviously, it's not the best. You'd rather they continue with it, but it's not something that I'm worried about overall, because we look at where we are in the market. The market's just not booming right now. There's not a lot of demand out there for crypto in general, so there's just not a lot going on. So it wouldn't surprise me if it could just be like the market activity. HBAR Bull did actually make a quick post, and he said, you know, the world's just not ready right now for like multiple ETFs in the US for Hedera. I think that's also plausible. At the end of the day, like, we're just not at that point yet where, you know, like, we're at the main level of crypto adoption yet where the market can be booming for just HBAR ETFs. There is already a HBAR ETF out there anyway by Canary Fund, so it's not the end of the world. It's not like this was the only ETF we would have had. There's one out there right now that you can use, so there's alternatives anyway. And also, at the end of the day, like, once the market's booming again, I don't think this is like a thing where that door is now permanently closed with Grayscale. I think it's very plausible that they could once again come back to do an ETF with HBAR. Like, for example, when XRP was going through the SEC lawsuit, they paused all dealings with XRP. And then once the lawsuit was over and XRP was doing well again, they basically opened the doors back to them. So I just think this is literally like a business decision more than anything. The other thing I'll say is there was talks about someone who mentioned, like, is this down to like the Bonzo attack in regards to Hedera saying that they will support the Bonzo developers in regards to making people whole. And this guy clearly wasn't really happy about that. Now, look, I don't know if that's going to be what it is. Personally, I don't think it's going to be an ethical thing that they'd have made this decision on. I think it's going to be more about the price impact. So if, let's just say, off the back of that Bonzo news, the price dipped, and they were seeing like a really low metrics since then, no real price increase and stuff like that. Yes, that might have led to them thinking, what's the point right now? There's not really a lot going on because of the back of that news. So yeah, that could be a thing. I don't know for sure. But if HBAR was to get, you know, a big jump in price again, they would just say, yeah, let's quickly put this ETF through again. Like, it's going to be a business decision when it's all said and done. So even if this was the news as to what made you know, pull out, I don't think it's going to be an ethical thing of saying, like, we don't agree with you supporting Bonzo. I think it's going to be more of a thing of they've seen the impact of what that's done to the price. And so they've just thought, well, we're not going to make that much money doing this right now. So if that is the case, I think if the price does start to go up again and there's a spike, I think they'll just go ahead with the ETF and put it back through. That's what I think personally. So it was just an interesting thing to see. So I've just discussed that and covered my thoughts. But yeah, once again, if you want to hear that in full, check out the full video. It'll be coming out. But yeah, that's it. That's everything. You're all up to date. So I'll leave it there. If you did like this video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe so you can be updated for future XRP and HBAR content. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be alerted on when I do drop a new video. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you all on the next one.